In a weird way, committing a crime has clear consequences. And our society, is set up where you can pay your dues, pay the fine, do the time, whatever. And then we love a comeback story. This guy, there's no real punishment other than social media ostracizing, which is punishment, but it's not like there's an end point to that. It's not like he's allowed to just be like, sorry, and then the whole world is agreeing like he's served his consequences. Like, this will follow him for the rest of his life.
Right.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not good. That's why I thought, oh, this will be fun and joyous, like the Louvre heist. And then I heard him, I'm like, oh no. Again, this is his own doing, but it did not seem worth it. Welcome to this, I guess, emergency pod of the Fraud Complex, a podcast where we investigate fraud stories that have no murders because we want to keep things lighter. We'll let the true crime fair deal with we are true crime, but the morbid stuff, we'll let those podcasts deal with it. We'll examine a fraud in this episode. Have you ever cheated in a game? Let's just say anything, card game, Monopoly, anything. Yeah. Give us, if you feel like you can confess and tell us what happened. What have you cheated on?
Yeah, I used to cheat my grandmother playing cards I think I was a young child, probably under 10. But it was, I had a fully rigged system. Like, I was really pulling the wool over her eyes. Who knows if she knew what was going on? But I had some serious, I forget what game we were playing, canasta or something.
Canasta?
I stacked the deck. It was very blatant looking back.
Wow. You think she ever knew? Do you think she knew and let you off because you were 10? Or do you think you really got...
She was pretty sharp and she was pretty good at canasta, so I bet she knew exactly what was going on.
Oh, so you think she knew that you were cheating?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was just being nice and letting you cheat. Why did you want to cheat even at 10 against your grandma in canasta?
I don't know. I was into like magic tricks. I liked the idea of like making the cards do. I think it gave me a sense of power, perhaps.
I've cheated on Monopoly. You take the money. Yeah. You just
take the money.
$500 bill. You need it. You're going bankrupt. Nobody's the banker. You have a suspect banker there where you think, or you're the banker. Well, you're the banker. It's possible.
Right.
You give yourself C-note, some cash.
Monopoly, I feel like you can almost count on somebody's cheating, so you might as well even the playing field.
See, this is the rationalization. Everyone's cheating, so I have to cheat. Have you ever done anything in a competition? Like, whether it be a sports competition, something where there's other people, you're competing against them, maybe not a board game, and maybe older than when you were playing canasta with your mother, where you decided to cheat?
I've never been that high level performance that I feel like I could cheat at most sports and still lose, so there was really nothing to be gained.
Okay. I see. So you didn't...
How about you?
Well, there is a sport in particular, and it comes up, golf. Like, I'm not a great golfer, and I think it's an okay sport at times, but if you're not a professional golfer or even a good golfer, you go with your friends. But somehow in golf, even if it's not very good golf, people, like a group of friends that get together, they add a level of stakes. They play for a small amount of money or do these types of games. Mm-hmm. And there's always a thought, do you want to take a stroke off or you want to do this or that when it comes to maybe making your score a little bit better. And so I haven't done it in golf. I have a friend of mine, I won't say his name for disclosure, but he tends to change his score a bit to win some of these things. And again, the mentality of that is interesting about why somebody would do that. There's a reason I'm asking you these questions about like in things that might not seem as consequential and canasta, board games, or golf. Let's just say you had the skill and you could possibly do well in a competition, whatever it might be. What would put you over the edge to actually do something to rig the game?
I think it mostly comes to desperation. If there was if I'm being evicted, kids, like if there was some level of desperation, you do what you got to do. I mean, I don't know if cheating would be like the go-to. There's probably a whole bunch of other stuff worth trying first, but I would think the circumstances, desperation.
If you're in that desperate, like, what could you rig for yourself? Would you go back into the canasta circuit or rig it there, or what would you do? Is there a canasta circuit? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like some of these sports betting apps where you bet on like regular stuff, or on like, is the politician going to say this word, or like stuff like that. I feel like there's ways to get a competitive edge if you go to some obscure little bet on like, will this country elect this leader? I don't know.
But that's not necessarily
just
cheating, is it? Like, unless you had some insider information.
Maybe insider information, like trying to get insider information.
Okay.
Would be. I don't know if that's cheating or not.
No, I don't think it's cheating, but I think this is hard for you. You're an honest person, even though we've given you a lot of tools to commit fraud now in this podcast. You're having trouble.
Yeah, and we're well equipped at this point.
Well, we are well equipped, and I'm trying to think about it for myself. I said maybe there's some. I'm a competitive person, but I think in terms of crossing a line to do something, it's interesting to say how desperate you would be. Because this particular fraud happened in golf. And this is not a major golf tournament. This has gone viral a bit. And I listened to the person who did this, and now I have mixed feelings about this, because I thought this would be a lighter podcast, but then I heard him, and he's pretty despondent. But at the same time, it's interesting to hear what he did. So this is a member club golf tournament. So wouldn't call him a pro golfer, but he's a very, very good golfer. He golfed at college, and he has a really high-level golf game, I guess you'd say. And so this is a member-to-member competition. I think there is money involved. So this individual, we talked about the fraud risk triangle. I don't know and he's been asked about the rationalization for this, like motivation to do this. But let's just say there's some money at stake. There was some money, but it's still... There's a lot of effort involved in this. And this is why it went viral, because what this individual did was he faked a hole-in-one.
Whoa. What?
And how would you do that? I just want to hear, how would you do this? You want to show that you got a hole-in-one when you, in fact, didn't get a hole-in-one. What would you do to do that and have it be convincing for a little bit of time?
I mean, everybody's watching the drive, on these par threes. I'm assuming it was a par three.
It was.
Unless the green wasn't in view, there was some island or...
What if the green isn't in clear view? What could you do?
Okay, well, I mean, maybe you're hustling up there before the game starts, or before that hole begins, dropping your ball in there. But then you have to hit a ball well enough but far enough so they don't find the duplicate ball. It's
right.
If there's quite a bit of skill involved, I would think, in faking a hole-in-one.
Well, that's what we talk about in this show. Like, the audacity and creativity, just the execution is pretty interesting. Because you're right, the golfer needs to be able to hit the ball in a way that it comes out of the view of the other golfer, because there's another golfer. And that when they go to retrieve their ball, they can pretend to look around for it, but they find the ball in the cup. And that's exactly what happened. The golfer was good enough to launch the ball, because you got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Past the place where you can really see if the ball went in. And yes, that morning he knew that he'd have the ability to get onto the hole before others. I think he also created a divot for the hole. I'm not sure if anyone even saw it, but he created a divot for the hole, for the swing. But he had put the ball in the hole before.
Was he swinging a real ball, or was he just swinging and he just created the divot?
I didn't realize this because I listened to the interview with this golfer. He went on to ESPN because it was a lot of social media for him and a lot of negative stuff. So he had to kind of speak to it, because he was getting just destroyed in social media. It was kind of leaking out to his family too. So there were some unintentional consequences besides just getting caught. It was just all of the stuff that was coming from social media, and it was getting a bit much for him. So that's why when I heard him, I thought this would be a funny story. This guy and when I heard him, oh, this is not so funny, because I felt bad for him, even though he created the conditions for this. So now that you're asking me that question, I think he might have actually faked it. Like he didn't hit a ball. I think that's right. He created a divot and went up there like, oh, where's the ball? And lo and behold, it's in the cup. This is fraud because there is money involved. There's a competition. That's why I thought the case was interesting, because it's embarrassing. There's a video of him like kind of doing something with that divot and then driving up to the hole. There is not video of him dropping the ball in the hole. But as soon as he was asked, I think at the end of the round, what were you doing in the morning around that hole? He confessed. And he said, I dropped the ball in there. There are some texts that went back and forth between either friends or the golf course. And it became viral because it was pretty audacious in the sense that it was a semi-pro thing, right? It wasn't a PGA thing, but it was enough that this person, and I think his argument was, I think for the tournament, and this is like really golf stuff, I think because of his handicap and the person he was against or how it was working for who wins, if he got a par, the person who he's playing against could bogey or double bogey to tie him or something like that. Like he was at a disadvantage for some reason. So by putting the hole-in-one, I think he got these strokes back. That was helpful. But he was very unclear about why he did this. And he had to do some work for this. Like, I think a lot of the time when we talk about fraud, we talk about it, is it impulsive? What do you think? How impulsive could this be?
Again, I don't quite understand. Aren't there other people playing on this course? Like, or did he know he was the first one to be going up? Seems like he had really planned this out.
Yeah.
And he might have had to orchestrate that too, right? Like he seems like he took a lot of steps for a fairly careless, like, I don't know. And man, the consequences seem, I don't know if he's going to go to jail for this, but he's probably not going to go to jail that course anymore.
He's been definitely put in social media jail. Because when I saw this, I thought it was really funny in the sense that we can look at rationalization. Like, where is the threshold for someone to do something like this? But it turned into its own story because the consequences are pretty significant for him. The golfing community is interesting. They love their rules. And that's why the social media has been so difficult with him. And I don't think he's going to be able to play again at the semi-pro level. And he seemed extremely despondent. That's why when I listened to his interview in preparation for this, I thought, maybe it'd be a little jovial, like, why were you doing this? Oh my God. But it was just sad.
Oh man.
So my mood into going into this after listening to it, I was like, oh man, I don't even want to say his name because he's dealing with a lot of like social media. He seems really despondent because it's just a bunch of things he has to deal with. His family is embarrassed. He has kids. But I thought it was interesting to look at this from like, what is it that makes someone cross the line? Because on that interview, they asked him, what was your motivation? And he only said that something about those two strokes, that he never gave a clear motivation. I think he had struggled to say it was money or pride.
No,
I don't
he
think
didn't
he was
want to admit.
Yeah, that was an interesting part of it. Like, how were you, like, if I portray this individual on this call to ESPN radio, it's seeming really, really sad, trying to take accountability, but not providing the motivation. I don't think the host of the radio show felt very clear about why he did this, because that's what you're asking me. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think there's any more information. So how do you feel about this individual? Like, because we've often talked in our show about maybe having some thought about the other side of the equation, not necessarily condoning anything, but I've portrayed this for you. What do you think?
It seems like it's never just money. It seems like it's always a feeling of some wrong or some injustice that they feel like they're righting by.
Yeah.
Like they almost are entitled to it for whatever. Like you mentioned with his skill was put at a disadvantage because, and then that wasn't fair in his mind. And I see why that would be hard to admit. Like, maybe does he even know himself why he did it? Like maybe people are like less clear about that in their own heads.
Like, it's such a humiliating thing in a golfer context to get caught doing that. You can imagine, like, that's something like I might do it if I was just with my buddies. I'm like, I'll just put a ball in there. Nobody will ever believe I got a hole in one though, because I don't have the skill. I couldn't.
Well,
I couldn't fake it. So I think there'd be a lot of doubt, but he is a good golfer. That's why it could be believed.
It seemed, yeah, if it was me, I would just be like, this is a funny prank. I'm going to sneak in there in the morning and then
Right.
I just want to see their faces and then I'll tell them afterward. And then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like but this doesn't seem that, but
It wasn't a prank.
in a
It
way
was for
he
real.
he could have played it off as a prank.
No, I think he turned his scorecard in.
He doubled down. Wow.
Yeah.
He turned in the card.
I think he was intending
executed
to
the
get away
plan.
with this. What is the work equivalent of that for us? Maybe for him, that's what he did. It's golf. And so he cheated on the job, like committed fraud on the job in such an audacious, bizarre way that when he got caught, it's super embarrassing. I wonder what would that be for us? I'm trying to think.
I just think back to like college or like you're cheating on a test or
But that's not embarrassing. Like this is also a level of embarrassment. I guess
Right.
he wasn't really thinking, but to think through what would happen if you get caught is to foresee. That's probably why he admitted this right away. It's so embarrassing. Had there not been any video of him doing something strange on that hole, maybe he would have gotten away with it. But as soon as there
Right.
was some question about what he was doing, he admitted this. And so it's just such an embarrassing thing too. Probably low stakes. I'm just trying to think it would be. Maybe I don't even know what it would be. It's possible, for example, in the AI world, I could have an avatar of myself deliver, like I teach for a living, have an avatar deliver a program while I'm like, doing something fun. And then my avatar screws up and whatever, speaks another language, starts, maybe even saying like terrible things. And then I'm like, was that you on the call that did that? I'm like, oh no. That would be the equivalent. And then I wouldn't do it because the risks are off. Like, what would it be for you as a writer or actor? What would that look like?
yeah, you're turning in a script AI wrote I feel like a lot of lawyers are getting busted turning in or using arguments provided by AI that are citing fake case precedents and things like that.
Yeah, and that's embarrassing.
It's so easy in a weird way to do that stuff, but this seems a lot harder than like
This is a lot harder. I thought it was an interesting case study in like how far somebody might go when they don't think about the consequences. Not like this might even be more painful than like getting prosecuted for something, which I don't think he will. There's no crime here, but the embarrassment of it all. A professional golfer, like semi-pro,
That's the thing.
dropping the ball in the hole ahead of time, getting caught, admitting to this, not having to go on ESPN radio to like kind of salvage his reputation, getting the trolls off his family.
In a weird way, committing a crime has clear consequences, and our society is set up where you can pay your dues, pay the fine, do the time, whatever, and then you're allowed to, we love a comeback story. This guy, there's no real punishment other than social media ostracizing, which is punishment, but it's not like there's an end point to that. It's not like he's allowed to just be like, sorry, and then the whole world is agreeing like he's served his consequences. It's like this will follow him for the rest of his life.
Right.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not good. That's why I thought, oh, this will be fun and joyous, like the Louvre heist. And then I heard him, I'm like, oh no. Again, this is his own doing. But it did not seem worth it at all. I just have to think about the whole scene. What is he thinking? He has really planned this through. And to drop the ball in, at any point he can say, no, this could go wrong. But I guess, part he didn't think of was maybe the social media consequence, because maybe that would have stopped him. I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if this was a pattern of behavior that has escalated. And, maybe he's done stuff like this in other forums. I do think there's a level of self-sabotage at times. People want to be caught on a certain psychological level. And eventually, like, I read this book, it's called The Big Leap or something like that. It's about people who are doing well and then self-sabotage to bring themselves down to kind of where they feel like they should be. It's often when people are doing, this is a Will Smith moment, right? This was a guy at the height of his career, and he was like, nope, I don't deserve this. I'm going to do something that unravels that. And
Interesting.
You know, I don't know if Will Smith was doing stuff like that
That was
privately
not a good
before,
choice
but
by Will Smith.
that was people are still talking about it. Every time there's like a new Will Smith project, they're like, yeah, but nobody's going to go see that movie because that's all we think about.
That's an interesting thing about fraud. I mean, fraud, I think, for the parts that we've looked at, potentially has that consequence to brand you, but there's generally the financial consequences, the criminal consequences. But you're right, this is an interesting metaphor because there's the social consequence to it. Obviously, there are repercussions, probably can't golf again professionally or semi-pro, but that part of it. And interesting, the ESPN, they asked him some good questions. They asked him that question, have you done something like this before? It was a good question to ask him. He didn't say no, to your point. He said nothing like this. And I'm like, what does that mean? And that's what they asked him, like, what does that mean, nothing like this? And it seemed like maybe there was some pattern of behavior here and it's interesting to think about it. Maybe he took himself down. It's hard to know the psychology of it, but I guess he didn't think about it as high risk. That's the other problem, right? What would have gone through his mind by getting caught, if anything at all?
Well, there's something about the thrill of this, right? There's definitely, you're doing something, you're hoping you're not going to get caught. There's an element of risk. So I bet there's like a adrenaline and that sort of almost makes me think of people who are like compulsive shoplifters as adults. Once in a while, you hear like some prominent member of society will steal from a jewelry store, you know what I mean? Or something they could have purchased easily, but there's something about the thrill or the act of self-sabotage that is compulsive. Because, money is a motive, but this doesn't seem like this was what this guy was going after.
I totally agree. And I think sometimes we do these ones because I'm like, I try not to judge too harshly because I'm not a perfect person. And obviously, I don't want to be the subject of the fraud complex. But I'm trying to think, it's possible. There can be another scenario, not the golf scenario, but where you're like in a situation where you just lose your ability to like think clearly about the consequences, or you built up some self-destructive patterns. The fraud didn't have any harm to anybody else. Possibly, if he had won the tournament, maybe he's taking some money away from the actual winner. But I just thought, because just like as he's driving to drop the ball off in the hole, he must be thinking, this is farcical. This is ridiculous. This is a bridge too far. Like, you have the ball. You know what your intentions are as you're driving up there, walking up there, however he got to the hole. And as he's doing it, he like, I'm just trying to think, wow, why do I do this? Do I really do this? And he let go of the ball.
It wasn't like an impulsive, it was a premeditated thing. And God, to do it and get caught with video, it's like, so, I don't know, man. It seems like so preventable. I feel bad for his family.
I know. That's what that's why I thought we could poke some fun at this, but I don't have the energy to poke fun at him because he sounded so despondent. Again, it's hard to feel sorry for him, but in some ways, if I made a huge mistake, have I made huge mistakes? You betcha. And
sure,
you try to learn from those things. I don't know if I'd want to be like international folly if it was made visible for a lot of people. I mean, this is not a mistake. This is an intentional act, and that's why it's on the fraud complex, because he committed golf fraud.
Golf fraud. Good title.
Rolf? We can call it, I don't know. Rolf? Golf?
Rolf.
Rolf. Yeah, some version of it. Again, golf. I mean, come on. We don't have to. But it's not like we did the elder care one. That was a real significant one. I mean, obviously, one individual, a member-only club, but it turned out to be a little bit less enjoyable than I had thought when I originally saw it. So,
well, I'm wondering if other golf fraud cases are going to arise. People are thinking about this. Like, is this a common thing? Is this unprecedented? I think there's low stakes fraud, cheating on the golf course. But
somebody told me
other hole-in-one fraud. I don't know. Sometimes you can win a car for these things. Like,
well, that's what we're gonna have to look at for that for the next fraud story. But somebody told me, one of the participants in a program I was delivering, he told me they do this for fishing. So they have these fishing competitions. It's the weight of the fish.
Yep.
They actually put weights in the fish. I didn't know this. Have you heard this before?
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I can totally see it.
Maybe we could probably do, because I know chess, there was this whole thing about, I think Magnuson, the grand chess master, he called out somebody for getting signals through interesting means about what moves to make.
I'm familiar with this. He was speculating that someone was receiving, how someone might receive signals.
We might have to clear the Spotify G rating for those signals about they were.
Right. None of that was verified. But I do think, looking back at that game that was played, seemed like a strong likelihood, according to many very reputable chess grandmasters, that something was amiss because the guy was playing
so we have this
moves that were just impossible, for humans.
So we have this little subgenre of fraud in sort of these sports events that you would think, one, it might be hard to do it. Like the way he did it. I mean, sometimes maybe you can change your golf score, but the way he dropped the ball in, or what Magnuson, I think his name, was accusing the other chess players of doing.
Magnus Carlsen, yeah.
Magnus Carlsen. I'm feeling Magnus Carlsen. There may be a little subgenre for the fraud complex to consider here. But yeah, I thought I'd just drop that one into you just to see what you thought of it. And I kind of feel bad for the guy. I do want to kind of hear why he did it. He just didn't say it. And maybe that's something he wants to keep private. It could have been money. It could have been pride. But also, it would be an interesting case study to just, like, I almost see it like Sherman's Head. Is it Sherman's Head, that sitcom? You have the voices in his head as he's walking with that ball. I just think that would be an interesting.
I mean, maybe it was something even more innocent in a way. Like, if you get a hole in one, you can talk about that for the rest of your life. And if you're in the golf world, yeah, he's not a pro. Is he semi-pro or college? He didn't seem like he ever quite got there.
Right.
And maybe a hole in one would be like, well, at least I'm known for this thing. And it seems like, again, a victimless thing if it's not directly, taking money. It doesn't guarantee he would win the tournament or contest or whatever, but there's something about fraud. Nobody can take a hole in one away from you. Like my brother-in-law got a hole in one, and I'm like impressed. I wasn't even there, but the legend is he got a hole in one, and I believe it.
Oh no, you weren't there. Now it's possible. It's possible.
I mean, hole in ones do happen. You golf every weekend. Maybe you get one. You've gotten close. Maybe you get one.
I just feel like the number of things that could go wrong there if he's caught. But I guess you could have convinced yourself you're not going to get caught. This is not a tournament. There wasn't a crowd. You drop the ball in. Nobody sees it. You turn in your scorecard. Done. He just didn't know there was a camera on the maintenance shed. That's what it was.
Who was doing this due diligence of going to find the camera? Was it the club? Like, why did they feel like they had to challenge this? Was there something about this guy?
I like the turn this is taking.
Like, are they like, you know what? We've had our suspicions about this guy for a while. Let's take a little.
That's a really good question. Now we're flipping around. And why did he get caught? Why let this guy go? No, we're joking about that. But he said there was a maintenance camera and they reviewed it. Why did they review it? What
the hell is a maintenance camera?
Yeah, what is a maintenance camera? Who's reviewing the golf course camera footage? Now I have more questions. This is a good direction. Like, why did somebody review that? Maybe somebody didn't like him and said, I want to see who's on here. Oh, that guy. Wonder what he's doing. We'll ask him when he comes in and turn it as a scorecard. Didn't expect to get a confession, but yeah, that's a good. I don't know the answers to that. I don't know if I'll ever know.
And if they had a camera pointed at that green, why didn't they have a camera showing the ball didn't go in or didn't go in?
Yeah, they didn't have a camera on. That's what he said in the interview. They didn't have a camera to see what he did, but there was some maintenance cameras. I guess the only reason, the question would have been, had that camera not been there at the maintenance thing, whatever there is the need for a camera there, he would never had been caught. It would have worked, actually. To be honest with you, now I see it that way. It's the maintenance camera. It sounds like he checked for cameras too, and he just didn't see that one.
I just think he wanted the story. He wanted the lore. He wanted to be the talk of that weekend, and it's such a
Well,
small,
he's definitely
petty
the talk
thing,
of the
but
weekend, just not in a good way.
yeah,
So if we were gonna just help him out a bit here, this is like a country club. I don't think it's like a tournament that would have any television cameras. So he should have just checked to make sure there's no cameras around, because he's
Yeah.
leveraging people's trust in him, right? Because he's a golfer who's golfed at the college level. He's a good golfer. Like I think they said a +2, whatever. It's like a really good golfer for that sort of
Wow.
semi-pro level. So all he really needed to do is make sure that there was no, like, it sounds like there was a trust system involved in this. And so as long as there wasn't a camera that showed any hint of anything going wrong or somebody doing something like what he did, he would have got away with it.
It's hard to get away with stuff these days.
Maybe that's the story. It's hard to get away with a minor tournament at a small country club with a semi-pro golfer trying to take 2 strokes off his member-to-member tournament for what might be a grand or two. Too many cameras. Maybe that's a lesson. It's a surveillance state.
We've all got cameras with us all the time, and chances are one of them is pointing at us right now. And
That's true. I think the chances are very high. We have a camera at us. I mean, I don't know what he could have done better. I don't know, because I don't think he could have put it in any earlier. Maybe I guess the question is, why didn't he hit a ball? Maybe the green was in view. I thought it wasn't, because he would have tried to hit it and then maybe drop it off in there. That might have been better because there would have been no camera issue. But maybe there was a partner. Some of the details aren't clear to me, but it seemed like he had to do this before.
well, maybe there was a partner and he didn't want to implicate the partner, so he's like, "Yep, I did it."
I think it's a solo act.
Yeah.
You think he did this on his own. I don't think there's any other person that's involved, unless it's a whole conspiracy that's in play at this interesting country club called, I forget what it's called now. I don't even want to name it because the poor guy. I don't want this podcast in any way to bring hate to this guy because he's dealing with a lot of that stuff. We were just looking at it as a character study from our
We'll
point of
see.
view.
We'll see if he ever recovers, like a year from now.
You know, these are one
Because
of those unforced.
now the story is he's the guy who faked a hole-in-one. Could you be more reviled in the golf world?
Yeah,
than
that's
that?
the thing in the golf world, which is, a bit rules based, and they have their own little things. I'm not the biggest fan of that world, but Josh, that's it. That's a golf fraud. I'm sure every golfer has wanted to do that. Maybe relatable for bad decision making. Like it ends up in fraud. Like, how do you feel at the end of this towards this golfer?
More sympathy, more questions. Just the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, what were the patterns of this guy's life? But I think there was a pattern. I think there was glory was the motive, is my guess.
The
I could
thing
be wrong.
too that gets me a little sad is like for example, I have a son. I don't think he thinks very much about me in terms of what I do, positively or negatively. But would I want my son to know me for that?
You don't want that headline.
No, that's why he has 2 kids.
This headline is going to follow this guy to his.
And we're helping
to
with that, by
very
the way. I
end.
want to let you know.
We-
Yeah, I don't want this to be bad karma for me. But we're rooting for the guy to figure out what happened and to come out of this. But listen.
Yeah, he can turn this around.
He can turn this
Just
around.
kind of let people know what was going on.
He can par this hole of life. He's double
Or at least
bogeyed, maybe
bogey it.
quadruple bogeyed it.
Yeah.
He's really made a disaster of this hole. He's maybe double bogeyed. No, like doubled the hole. This is
Yeah,
like
a
how many
gentleman's eight.
How many bogeys is this? Like how much? Now I'm gonna watch Happy Gilmore to make myself feel better. Josh, thanks for doing this emergency podcast.
Leave us a comment with your golf fraud experiences. How would you do this better? We want to hear from you.
So thanks for listening. And if you have any questions for us, it's what is our email address?
Fraudcomplex@gmail.com.
Okay, there you go. Let us know your frauds, golf or otherwise, and thank you for listening.